Hey guys, SGT here, and I've got a big one. Pastor Lindsey Williams is back to give us an update on world events and his take on them. Pastor Williams, welcome back.
Good morning, Sean, and thank you for the privilege of being on your show, and you're going to have a great time today. This Iran thing, saber rattling. What is your opinion?
Well, my thinking, okay, here's my thinking on the Iran situation, sir, and I wanted to ask you about this as we get deeper into the interview, is that it seems to me that this government is conducting all sorts of wars by proxy for Israel, and we're spreading ourselves clearly way too thin, both financially and militarily, and as it pertains to Iran specifically, I think that Netanyahu and those in control of Israel would like nothing better than to see this government take our young men and women over into another unconstitutional war that benefits nobody in this country and seems to me to only benefit Israel. What's your take?
Yeah, I would agree 100%. And as Mr. Fromm told me back some while back, he said if a war starts with Iran, Israel's going to do it. Well, at this point, Obama's desperate. I don't know what he might try to do.
I want to ask you point blank, because I think that you are coming from a place of truth and honor, sir, but for those who call you a disinfo agent, how do you react to that label? Are you a disinfo agent, sir?
I am an agent. I did not say a disinfo agent. I am an agent. I'm an agent of Jesus Christ. By the providence of God, I was a little unknown missionary flying airplanes out in the bush of Alaska doing missionary supply. And by God's providence, he allowed me to live with the elite of the world as chaplain on the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline. They didn't want me, and they allowed me on the pipeline. After I went there, I saved them probably thousands and thousands of dollars, and they came to me and said, we'd like to offer you executive status. It had to have been the providence of God. God put me there as an agent so I could be on Sean's show today and tell you what I'm telling you. I'm fully persuaded that that's the only reason I was there, was to see people come to know Jesus Christ as their Savior. A disinfo agent? No, I positively am not disinfo. In fact, over the past 35 years, what the elite of the world have told me, not one single time has any information that they have given me ever failed to take place exactly as they said. Go back in the records. It's on the archives of television, radio shows all over America, from coast to coast with George Norrie to your show today. Every one of them, I have given things, and never once has one single item failed to take place exactly as they told me. Not as Lindsey Williams said, but as they told me. An agent? Yes. I'm an agent of Jesus Christ and very proud of it.
And I know that to be true about you, sir. And I wanted to ask you this, and for those who don't know, your prediction the last time we talked was that we would see governments like Mubarak's and others in the Middle East fall. And in their places, we'd see, with the full support of our criminal government, the Muslim Brotherhood put into power. That was your prediction, sir. And shortly after we spoke, that's exactly what we saw happen. And now, to add insult to injury, we see in Libya, our government tell us that Al-Qaeda should run the show there, and that's just okay. That's just fine.
Well, let's go back to this, because I'm so glad you brought it up. Here again is a prediction that, was I criticized for it? Oh, my gracious. There's so many times that I've been laughed at. I remember when the price of crude oil, Mr. Fromm came on the telephone to me one day about 3 years ago, and he said, Chaplain, would you like the world to think you are a prophet? And I said, Ken, what are you talking about? He said the price of crude oil is going from $147 a barrel to $50 a barrel within 3 months. I went on radio talk shows, and one of the men actually laughed at me over the broadcast, and I respect him, I love him. And he said, Chaplain, you shouldn't say things like that. This would impact the entire world. Well, 3 months later, it took place exactly as Mr. Fromm had told me. And again, I was on the show with that man later on, in fact, on the Alex Jones show, as he was giving his Friday stock market report. And this gentleman said, well, Chaplain Williams, I'm going to have to apologize. You were right. I said, no, I wasn't right. I wasn't right at all. The elite were right. So, Sean, I can't take credit for any of this, because Lindsey Williams doesn't say this. These are things that they tell me, and I merely tell you what they said. Now let's go to the Middle East. It started out in Egypt. You remember it, about 9 months ago. I went back to my elite friend, and I said, what in the world are you doing? I said, why are you doing this? This man spilled the beans. He told me everything. He said, Chaplain, We are going from one Middle East oil-producing country to the other. He said, we just started in Egypt. He said it'll be turned over to the Muslim Brotherhood as soon as we finish. And he said, we're supporting the Muslim Brotherhood. Folks, please hear this. You won't get this on the national media. You'll only get it from the elite, and you probably won't get it from any newsletter writer because very few of them know the very top. And he said, we are supporting the Muslim Brotherhood to bring about an overthrow in every country in the Middle East. He said, please catch this, the last country we'll overthrow will be Saudi Arabia. He said it's Egypt, Mubarak. Then Libya. Oh, by the way, Gaddafi set them back 4 months because he didn't fall quite as fast as they thought for. Assad in Syria, he's next. After that, watch it go to Yemen and Bahrain, and it's going to go to Saudi Arabia. How long it's going to take them to do it, I don't know. And I said, why are you doing it? He said, Chaplain, we're doing it in order to destroy the oil production of the Middle East to cause so much civil unrest. We're turning everything over to the Muslim Brotherhood, and this is a part of that Devil's Messiah program, by the way. Please, you've got to know this. They have an agenda for 2012. The elite do. You'll never hear this word. You'll hear New World Order. You'll hear 1,000 points of light from Daddy Bush. You won't hear anything about the Devil's Messiah. I dare to say that anybody would have ever used that except Mr. Fromm, and he was in his 80s, and he basically said to me one day, Chaplain, I'm too old to care. Go ahead and tell the world everything. And one talk show host the other day, he said, wait a minute, Lindsey. He said, I think the reason they're doing it is confession. And I guess that's the only way I can put it. When a man's about to face his maker, he'll say a lot of things. They have a 2012 agenda of Devil's Messiah is their key code words, and it is for the demoralization of the entire world, because now it is a new world order, and in particular the United States of America. Why are they doing this? So much conflict has been caused in the Middle East that it will take the price of crude oil to $150 to $200 a barrel. You will be paying $7 to $8 a gallon at the gas pump. Every bit of it was planned years in advance. They knew it 35 years ago. They now are bringing it to fruition, and everything that's taken place in the Middle East is for the purpose of doing what the elite had planned behind closed doors. Okay, Sean, here it is right now. You saw it. It was headlines. No hiding this. It was on the AP wires. The day after Gaddafi was killed, murdered in Libya, and this is so sad. I wish I didn't have to say this. And you know who he was murdered by. What right do we, a nation that was founded on Christian principles, a nation that calls itself a republic, read Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution of the United States of America. We're not a democracy. And we were told we were going to Egypt and Libya to bring about a democracy. And the day after that Gaddafi died, here it is. I'm going to read it to you. Libya's internal leaders pledged to uphold Islamic law, and the country celebrates its liberation. And our president, Barack Hussein Obama, congratulated the Libyans on their declaration of turning over Libya to the Muslim Brotherhood.
It was actually one of my questions that I had written down for you, too, as it pertains to Libya, Lindsey. It's funny you'd say that because I wrote, and I'll read it specifically right here, it strikes me that, quote, spreading democracy propaganda from this government is wearing a little bit thin, isn't it, Lindsey? It's a joke.
We are not a democracy.
We're not spreading democracy either.
We are supposed to be spreading a republic. I read Article 4, Section 4. But we're going over there to the Middle East under the guise of telling the American people we're going to give them a democracy. And a democracy is a mob rule, and that's exactly what we've given them. We've given them the Muslim Brotherhood. The elite are intentionally supporting the Muslim Brotherhood to bring about revolution in every single oil-producing country in the Middle East, and whenever they get through, they immediately will turn it over to the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the demoralization of the entire world.
I want to ask you a couple of things. Spiritual warfare is definitely something I want to talk to you about, but before before we talk about that, you and I spoke briefly a few days ago when we were setting up this interview, and it was just a great, candid 10-minute conversation. I want everybody to know that the Lindsey I got the other day for 10 minutes when I was preparing dinner for the family or getting ready to eat is the same caring Lindsey that we're hearing from right now, folks. But Lindsey, I asked you a very simple question on the phone the other day, and it was this. Are the elite or the Illuminati, are the elite losing control at this point? And you gave me a startling answer.
Back about 3, maybe 4 months ago, I received some information that was so startling from my elitist friend that it scared the daylights out of me. I honestly, I'm saying it to the best I know how, as a minister of the gospel of over 50 years. I'm 75 years of age. I was afraid to talk. I was afraid to give out what they had told me. And I finally said, I have no choice. I have a moral obligation, I always have since I wrote my book, The Energy of Non-Crisis. And I said, I must tell the story. And as a result, I began to tell what I'm telling today. And I can honestly say that 2012 will be the most startling, the most unusual, the most eventful year in 2,000 years. I have no hesitation in saying that. 2012 is going to be the beginning of the end. Now, I made the remark to you the other day that part of what I was told back a few months ago was there is great dissension right now amongst the elite. Keep in mind something. These people think they're God, but they aren't. They act like it sometimes, but they aren't. They're mere human beings. Yes, they are demonic in many, many instances. They are part of the occult, most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. By the way, just in passing, Mr. Fromm, before he passed away, his son assured me. I got to know him quite well when Mr. Fromm was dying because he finally got to the place he couldn't even talk over the phone. And his son assured me, and his son being a Christian, his son assured me that his dad knew Jesus Christ as his Savior when he died, and we'd all see him in heaven. So you'll be able to converse with Mr. Fromm personally when you get up there. The elite have a problem right now. They are at much odds and disagreement. When I lived with the elite, I'll never forget one day I was riding in the vehicle with one of them, and I said, I understand that some of your cohorts are giving you a problem and would like you out of the way. He said, yes. I said, are they going to succeed in putting you away? He just laughed. He said, no, Chaplain, don't worry about it. He said, they can't do one thing in this world to me. I said, why? He said, I know all the skeletons in that closet, and all I'd have to do is just talk. And he said, I'd do it real quick. You know, the elite, they stick together for the purpose of their devious methods. Mm-hmm. Right now, the elite are having some real dissension amongst themselves, and it is very much your advantage. Everyone out there in the listening audience right now, let me try to explain to you why it's so much to your advantage. The elite of the world intentionally took the price of gold and silver just recently from $1,900 on gold down to about $1,650, if I remember correctly. And I couldn't understand why they were doing it because I had been told by different gold dealers around the country that it was going to just keep right on going up 2,000, 3,000. And I had even forecasted it was going to do that. And I went to them and I found out they took it down there intentionally. And why did they take it down there? They are securing their assets. They've gotten out of the stock market. They've gotten out of paper. Mr. Fromm said to me over 3 years ago, he said, Chaplain, if it's written on a piece of paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. And I didn't understand what he was saying. They have opted out of paper. They have gotten, okay, let me show you what they did. Now please go on the web and research this for yourself after the program today. The United States Mint, you can prove this for yourself. Right on the web. The United States Mint, the first day of October, sold on that one day alone 737,000 one-ounce silver eagles. Who bought them? You go to your coin dealer and you try to buy a silver eagle. They'll tell you, oh, wait 2 or 3 months. Sorry, the Mint's not letting us have them. Well, who's buying them then? That first day of October was 42% of all the sales for the entire month of December of 2010. That's the largest number they've ever sold in any one day in the history of the United States Mint.
Lindsey?
750,000 Silver Eagles in one day. Who did it? The elite are buying it.
Well, let me jump in, and I want to give people perspective on that. Let's round 737,000 Silver Eagles up to 1 million, right? A nice round number. The United States Mint, they're obligated by law to buy silver from American mines. That's the silver they need to source first. And this country only produces 40 million ounces of silver in a year. So 1 million Silver Eagles sold in a day, or 1.5 million Silver Eagles sold over 2 days, the entire supply for a year will be exhausted in 40 to 50 days. That's how significant it is. And so you're saying that the elite are taking this dip, this opportunity that they've probably created to drive down silver and gold to shore up their own supplies, right? Is that what you're saying, Lindsey? They're buying hand over fist, silver and gold.
They're buying the only thing that they know that's going to have any purchasing power left whatsoever after they have allowed the crash to take place, and I am not predicting the day of the crash. It won't happen in the next few months, please. I know you're hearing it from all the newsletter writers. Oh, 11/11, the whole world's going to come apart, 10/10, and on you go. No, the crash is not going to take place in the next few months, but don't you let up on your preparation, because I'm saying this. They know the date they're going to let it happen, but they are intentionally creating such massive debt in the world that when they do finally let the crash take place. Should have happened a long time ago in the last year of the Bush administration. It should have taken place, but they didn't let it, and they're not going to let it until they have gotten you into such massive debt. Every human being, every country in the world, every state in America, every city in the United States of America, every bank, but they know when it's going to take place, and as a result, the top and the elite who knows what goes on behind closed doors have secured their assets. They're buying gold and silver by the tons.
Thanks for watching Part 1. Don't miss Part 2 of Lindsey Williams, the 2012 Agenda and the Fall of the New World Order.